Hello, everyone. Good to see everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day, a great summer. Awesome. So, welcome to today's workshop, Entering Canada's Defense Market. My name's Amagella McKelvey-Tate, and I am the program manager here at the Innovation Cluster. And we are so excited to have you all with us today. So, for those who may be new to us, the Innovation Cluster is an innovation hub, and we help entrepreneurs across Ontario grow and scale with purpose through mentorship, community, and programs built for real world impact. We greatly appreciate you choosing to be with us today as a part of your journey. So, now on to today's incredible workshop. So, today's workshop is designed to help companies understand how companies buy defense and how Canada buys defense and security products and services, who the key decision makers are, and how procurement works in practice. The session also highlights key barriers to entry, particularly in cybersecurity and compliance requirements, as well as industrial and technical benefits obligations. So today's speaker, an experienced business development professional, Peter Studer, excels at identifying and facilitating connections in the aerospace, space, defense, marine, and public safety markets. His goal is to forge mutually rewarding relationships, whether for a single project or to create an enduring strategic alliance. Drawing on knowledge and expertise gained over 45 years in the public and private sectors, Peter provides clients with advice, information, and exposure in government procurement, industrial capacity and capabilities, business development, regional economic development, and trade show preparation, with a particular focus on Canada. Now, just a few quick things before we dive in. So we will keep an eye on the chat throughout the session. So if you got questions, feel free to drop them in as we go. But we will answer questions at the end, time permitting. We encourage you to keep your cameras on, helps keep the workshop engaging, and we love to see your faces. And at the end of the workshop, we'll just be running a quick poll to hear about your experience. So please stick around and share your feedback. It's greatly appreciated. It helps us to improve our future events and our sessions. And again, don't be shy. This is a space to ask questions, share ideas, learn something that you can use when the Zoom call ends today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much, Peter. I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you very much. So, first of all, I really appreciate all of you taking your time to participate today. I hope you will find this useful. In particular, I would like to thank Zara and Magella and Amanda and the entire team at Innovation Cluster, one, for asking me to deliver this workshop, but two, also to host me in their office space in Peterborough. It's really a pleasure to be here. As an initial comment, since I've seen the attendee list, there are a couple of people on that list who could probably deliver this workshop better than I could. But there's a wide and diverse audience. So for the most part, this will be at a fairly high level. And I apologize. One, if you are really well informed and you're looking for greater detail, you're probably not going to get it. And I apologize for that. If for some of you, this is going to be really rapid fire 30,000 foot level, but there's lots of links in the presentation which you're going to get. I'm really aiming to try to give some general information to sort of a broader group who are looking at defense for the first time. It's an extremely, it can be a very rewarding business opportunity. It can be hugely frustrating at the same time, just because of the way it works. And as a general kind of overview, I would like to give you sort of a sense of where the opportunities are, who the sort of key government departments are, and the role that they play. I'm then going to help you find some allies and people, facilitators that can help you move forward in the space. Going to move into some tools that will assist you with that. And for many of you, this may be old information. And finally, talk a bit about trade shows, and then come to some concluding remarks, which may in fact be the most important few minutes of this presentation for you. As was mentioned, Happy at the end, if we can, I'll take some questions. You'll have my contact detail fairly shortly, so please reach out at any time. I'm more than happy to have a conversation and talk about that. So with that, I will move into the presentation. So disclaimer to start, not unusual. These are my own, what I'm going to tell you reflects my own experience over the last 45 years. My suggestions may not necessarily be right for everyone. They're general in nature. And the thing to bear in mind for each of you is each of your situations is unique. You'll have to forge your own approach to exploiting opportunities in defense procurement. A bit about myself. So I served with the Government of Canada for 32 years, left in 2012. My last 10 years were with a regional development agency. Pretty much all of my experience was related to defense procurement, both as a practical procurement officer at Department of National Defense and aerospace projects, and then working on what was called industrial regional benefits at the time at ACOA, plus aerospace and defense sectoral development, including taking some trade missions abroad. Retired in 2012, became a consultant at CFN for 2 years. Left for a year to help one of our clients open up their Canadian business as the Vice President of Business Development and Sales. Returned to CFN in 2016. I've been there ever since. Became a partner in 21, a senior partner in 22. Took over as the managing senior partner in 2024. So effectively, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for a defense procurement advisory consultancy with about 15 really incredibly talented people working there. Again, us, we're founded in 1983. We're a defense procurement consultancy. We have expertise in all the subject matter domains and socioeconomic and industrial technological benefits, government contracting, defense industrial base. Basically, we help our clients engage across government departments, National Defense and Defense Investment Agency. I won't run through them all, but it's all the runs relevant to the kind of procurement that we're talking about. We're all, with two exceptions, we're all either senior military or senior public servants. The two exceptions are our team members who were working in industry delivering ITB projects for their companies. So very experienced from a industry perspective on that program. We have offices, our center of mass is in Ottawa. We've got folks in Victoria and in Halifax. We have international affiliates that we work closely with. We stick to Canada, that's what we know, but we've identified organizations that are quite similar to us that provide similar services in Australia and New Zealand, the US and the UK. There's our website, and again, you get a copy of this presentation. So relevant stakeholders and opportunities. So again, this is going to be fairly high level. I'm not going to dive into it at great detail, but just to give you some idea of who's out there and who participates in defense procurement from a Government of Canada perspective. Public Services and Procurement Canada is the contracting agent for the Government of Canada. That's writ large, with the exception of ITIM for the most part. Now, defense is changing a bit, and I'll talk about some of this, how that's changing shortly. But generally speaking, they're a defense procurement stakeholder. They procure about $37 billion of goods and services annually for the Government of Canada. They cover everything from office supplies to military equipment. Canada uses, at the federal level, Canada uses an electronic tendering system called Canada Buys. Canada Buys is a SAP Ariba product. It's a smart e-procurement tool in the sense that the Government of Canada broadcasts opportunities through it, accepts bids through it, and pays through it, manages contracts through it. For most of my career, we're using a system called, they use Merx, which is still active and works in a different sector now. Then they went to a thing called Buy and Sell, which was a dumb e-procurement tool, which was really quite good. Canada Buys is diabolical. You really have to work hard at it to understand it and be able to get the most out of it. But it is the tool that the government uses. So you should really take a lot of time. If you're serious about this, it's a good thing to take some time and figure out how it works and how to set up things like search routines, etc. The overarching principles of Canadian federal procurement are competitiveness and transparency. As an industry practitioner, I think there's too much competitive and too much transparency. Uh, as you're entering, if you're new to this, it's the first time you're getting involved, Procurement Assistance Canada is an organization within PSBC that has been established to help Canadian industry understand how to do business with the Government of Canada. So as I said, there's a link there. They have offices across the country. They run webinars on a regular basis on a variety of subjects: how to use the Canada Buy system, what controlled goods are, how industrial security works, Canadian Procurement 101, how to get started, how to get your procurement number, that kind of thing. So that is an asset that's paid for by your tax dollars. It's there to assist you to understand how to participate in government procurement. Uh, Indigenous business and federal procurement. So Indigenous procurement policies are generated by a different organization, Indigenous Services Canada. They are a number of policies have been rolled out in the last couple of years to incent Indigenous business to participate in federal procurement. There's the link. Um, it's becoming a much more part of the broader socioeconomic portfolio of government policies that influence procurement. So if it's relevant to you, you should check it out because there's some quite specific bits to it. Now, as I said to start, the military defense procurement picture is changing a bit in the sense that there's a new organization, Defense Investment Agency, which I'll talk about in a moment. The relevant procurement staff at Public Service and Procurement Canada are in the process of transitioning to this new organization. So going forward, PSPC will still be involved in defense procurement, but the big ticket stuff, the complex projects, a lot of that stuff is moving to this new organization, which I will be speaking about. So there we go, the Defense Investment Agency. The current government, the Carney government, established the Defense Innovation Agency last year with a focus on improving defense procurement, which has been historically extremely torturous. Projects could take decades from the time that they were first started to the time something was delivered. In the current world environment and technological environment, that kind of speed doesn't matter. It's not relevant. It's not helpful. So the whole idea behind DIA is to move to improve our processes, improve the ways we do things so that things happen faster. Practically speaking, is it working? Early days yet, but we were heavily involved. My consultancy was heavily involved in the Canadian Patrol Submarine Project. We were supporting one of the two down-selected bidders. Unfortunately, our bidder did not make the final cut. But for somebody like me who's been around a long time, the Canadian Patrol Submarine Project went from they started talking seriously about it to the selection of a preferred bidder in about 2.5 years. That is light speed for practitioners such as myself who were used to seeing things take 5, 10, 15 years. So they are moving forward. How they're able to, are they able to keep up that pace of change remains to be seen. There are a couple of challenges that they face. So it is a defense procurement stakeholder. Currently headed by the Honorable Stephen Fuhr, Secretary of State for Defense Procurement. That's highlighted for a reason. I'll come to it. Doug Guzman is the Chief Executive Officer, reasonably new to Ottawa. He comes from a business background. I'm not going to read this, but that generally speaks to what they're trying to accomplish. That's a direct quote from their organization. That link gives you some of the key projects that they're working on. There's about 10 big projects that they're working on right now from a procurement perspective. So their current challenges, the enabling legislation. So there is draft legislation out there that says how the DIA will work, what authorities it has. That has not been passed by Parliament. Therefore, they're working, but they're working kind of in the old construct a bit. So it's a bit challenging for them. It's anticipated that the enabling legislation will pass in the fall. One reason that that's important is it looks as if it will move to have a full minister, because currently it's a special operating agency. So Mr. Guzman reports to the Honorable Joel Lightbound, who is the Minister of Public Works, or PSPC. When the legislation is passed, it looks like there will be a full minister in charge of the DIA, and whether that remains Mr. Fear or not remains to be seen. That's a big deal in Ottawa. It gets you a slightly different seat at the table. It comes with different authorities, which will ensure this process of moving to a new way of doing business continues at good speed. So as I said, currently under the PSPC minister is a special operating agency, but that should change. So Department of National Defense, obviously the key defense procurement stakeholder. So historically we described it as a three-legged stool. Department of National Defense defines the requirements, what they want to buy. PSPC was the buyer, and the third leg was Innovation Canada. I'll talk about them in a moment. It now looks like it's going to be four ways with the Defense Investment Agency involved. But D&D's role as the requirement setter remains paramount. 2025 spend was about $35 billion for services, equipment, supplies, repair, and maintenance. D&D, in terms of procurement of stuff, falls into one of two categories. Capital procurement, that's new stuff. For example, the Canadian Patrol Submarine Project is a capital project. O&M is life cycle stuff. So that is the equipment that we already have, repair and overhaul, buying spares, that all falls under the O&M umbrella. For industry, for small companies, you may look at becoming a direct government supplier in the O&M stream. But generally speaking, capital is for the big companies, the Boeings, the Lockheed Martins of the world. And your avenue in there is through the ITB program, which I'll speak about in a few minutes. Here are some links to various things that you can have a look at your leisure. Defense procurement, kind of what they do and how they do it. The Defense Industrial Strategy, which is the newest policy that's come out in Ottawa right now. And this is intended to drive increased reliance and resiliency in the Canadian defense industrial sector. And it's the basic principle, and I won't spend a lot of time talking about it, but the basic principle is what they're calling partner, buy, build. And the thought is over a 10-year period, we will move away from buying from other people, other countries. We'll move into a period where we partner, where Canadian industry is starting to develop the capability and the relationships to start doing things themselves, and ultimately build where we're, for the most part, trying to supply our own defense procurement needs. Having said that, the reality is there are certain things, given the size of our economy, the size of our country, and the size of our defense requirements, there are certain things we'll probably never do in country. It's extremely unlikely that we would ever build fighter jets. But we're trying to move away from reliance on other countries for major platforms to start doing them in Canada. And if you read the policy carefully, the strategy carefully, they're describing probably a 10-year cycle to move from one to the other. The NORAD modernization project is on everybody's lips right now. It's billions and billions of dollars. It's not a single project. It's right now, I think there are about 42 separate and distinct projects under this overarching umbrella, which is basically to modernize North American air defense and the Canadian approaches. Our North Strong and Free is the current defense policy under which D&D operates. That's likely in the not too distant future to see a renewal or a change. Innovation for Defense Excellence and Security, or IDEAS, is a program that is run by the Department of National Defense through the Defense Research and Development Canada. It's an avenue for SMEs to get in front of the Department of National Defense. It's a challenge-based series of contracts, contests, sandboxes. You should sign up for their newsletter so you get an idea of what's going on. The challenges come out on a fairly regular basis. The challenges are generated within the Department of National Defense by the different services. Um, and it's got different phases. It starts at a fairly small dollar value, but if there is interest, it can move to fairly significant levels in its phase 3 or phase C approach. The sandboxes are held a couple of times a year and are opportunities for people to come in and demonstrate their technology in front of a team of technology experts from within the department. Downtown Ottawa fairly recently held a drone sandbox. So I was actually seeing drones flying past my office windows whilst they were testing different drone technologies in an urban environment. So again, have a look at it. It's fairly active. It's well funded. And there are opportunities on a fairly regular basis. So underneath the Canadian Armed Forces badge there, you'll see link. Once you get the presentation, if you click on that link, it goes to 3 slides at the back of this presentation. If we have time today, I'll try to get to them. They're more practical on if you are seriously looking at, I want to be a business to government supplier, I want to sell stuff to D&D. It gives a little bit more detail on how that process works. So I'll endeavor to get there and whip through that fairly quickly. But if we don't, it's there for you to have a look at. I said Innovation, Science, Economic Development Canada. As I talked about earlier, we've always referred to as sort of a 3-legged stool. ISED owns the Industrial and Technological Benefits Policy, and that is a policy that is relevant to defense capital procurement, and it is an avenue for Canadian SMEs to get involved, not directly selling to the Government of Canada, but participating in big Canadian defense projects. There's the link to the policy. It is voluminous. It is arcane. In all honesty, there are practitioners that can help you deal with this. You should know about it. You should have a read of it, but I would not, for most SMEs, I would not attempt to become an expert in it. It's a tool to engage with prime contractors. Prime contractors have big staffs that figure out which process within this policy should be used, to what project it should apply. If you go on the website, you will see a list of all the outstanding obligations that prime contractors owe to Canada, which is in the billions of dollars. Point to make there, it's usually about a year out of date, so the numbers may not be accurate. It's useful in the sense that it does provide contact details. But what you want to do under the ITB policy is convince a prime contractor that they should do business with you. What is the business case? Why should you become their supplier? The details of what project, how it might be applied, that's not really where you want to spend your time. You want to be making a compelling business argument that they should do business with you. You should know about the policy, but you don't need to be expert in it. And in fact, you may waste time engaging with primes if you try to go too far into the actual details. Innovative Solutions Canada is a program that is run by ISED. Again, it's a challenge function to discover Canadian technology. But in this case, although D&D or the Department of National Defense does use it occasionally, this is mainly for other government departments. National Research Council, Canadian Coast Guard, a number of government departments use it, looking for the next great idea for a technical challenge. So the challenge statement will tell you what they're looking for. There's deadlines. Have a look at this website. Have a look at what's been there before. All of these program websites, the Ideas Program website, the Innovative Solutions Canada website, are very good when you've got a few minutes to look into the history, because potentially you could find potential partners, people who've already been awarded contracts that look like something you could do that you may want to get involved in. So it's useful both from a historical perspective as well as upcoming opportunities. National Research Council, of course, NRC IRAP. IRAP is a program run by NRC to assist industry. If you're not aware of it, you should probably have a look at it. IRAP advisors are located across the country. And of course, they run a number of research centers that may have relevance to you and things that you are doing. So again, in terms of this, how things are changing with the stand-up of the Defense Investment Agency, whether or not the ITB policy moves to the new organization, the ITB staff that were previously working at ISED are now being moved into and becoming part of the Defense Investment or Agency. The idea being that DIA will have direct link to the requirement setters, and it will have the staff that actually deliver. The procurement and contracting staff and the economic benefit staff will all be in a single organization as opposed to working for three separate organizations. Obviously, this is in the early stages, and as this transition moves forward, I mean, there'll be some kinks to work out, but the idea is sound. We'll see in practice. I would say we're looking probably at about, with anything like this, you're looking at a year or two to get this transition to the point where it's all smooth and everything has been integrated. But they are pressing forward. They are delivering the work that they have to deliver. Shared Services Canada. So many years ago, what was Public Service Procurement Canada bought everything. A number of years ago, the decision was made to basically take anything that was IT/IM related, including telephone services, satellite communications, cybersecurity, enterprise licenses. The majority of that procurement and contracting has now moved to this new now older organization, Shared Services Canada, with the exception of Department of National Defense. For the most part, it's retaining a lot of that for itself. There's the statement. That's its mandate. They use a government electronic tendering service as well. There's the link to their service. For those in the infrastructure world, Defence Construction Canada is a standalone organization. Its mandate is to manage the infrastructure and real property of the Department of National Defence and the Canadian Armed Forces. D&D CAF are the largest single infrastructure real property holder in the government of Canada, not surprisingly. So this organization exists to new construction, maintenance of existing construction, maintaining the lands on which the D&D CAF operate. And again, they have an Indigenous business program. If it's relevant to you, you should have a look. And they use a government electronic tendering system as well. Again, for all of those systems, you would have to register, figure out how they work and how to utilize them best for your particular requirements. And again, this all circles back to Procurement Assistance Canada. They're an organization that can help you navigate and understand these various processes, players, and how things work. Facilitators and enablers. So you're an SME, you're looking at this, you've just been bombarded by the Studer guy with a long list of potential opportunities and people. How do you make sense of it? Because at the end of the day, you're also trying to run a business. And the last time I checked, there is not a 25th hour in the day and there is not an 8th day in the week to start looking at all this stuff. So is there anybody out there that can help you understand, succeed, and move ahead? And the answer quite clearly is yes. So your allies, federal level, national level. One of the key organizations that you should be engaging with wherever you are in Canada is your regional development agency. ACOA covers the Atlantic provinces, SEDQ, Quebec, FedDev, Federal Economic Development for Southern Ontario, probably the one that is relevant to a number of people on this call. FedNorth for Northern Ontario, CanNor covers the north, Prairies Can, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Pacific Can covers BC. These organizations are really important. I really believe in them. I spent 10 years working at one of them. They've got two streams of activity that are relevant to you at a very high level. They run a number of programs that this is the stuff you'd see in your community. Improvements to infrastructure, cultural events. They also have a business stream that can assist you in your business. You really have to have a look at them and look at their details. They've got regional offices in all of they have dispersed offices in all of their regions. Those are the folks you should be going and talking to for that kind of stuff. On the defense side, uh, they are your advocates in defense procurement, particularly in the capital procurement side and the industrial benefits policy and how to deal with prime contractors. So, what does that really mean? When a prime contractor is pursuing an opportunity in Canada, they know that they are going to be required under the industrial technological benefits policy to engage Canadian business, to find Canadian suppliers. The first point of contact is usually with the defense procurement team at your regional development agency. They need to know who you are. They need to know what you're capable of. They can assist you in understanding things and some of the things that you need to get involved. And the two key things they really do are they'll be approached by prime contractors saying, we're looking for these kind of capabilities within your region. So if they don't know who you are and how you fit, they're not able to advocate for you. So it's really important that they know who you are because the primes will often make tours of the regions. And it's your chance to get face on face, have them see your facility and understand what you can do. The other part that's really critical here is they're in the evaluation teams. They take part in the evaluation of bidders on big projects. So they're bringing that regional understanding, that regional voice to those discussions. Long story short, you really got to find an opportunity to engage with your regional development agency. They all have websites, and you can dig in there and find out the contact details. Your district office or the office in your town or city can connect you to the defense team, who, for the most part, are located in the Ottawa area simply because that's where most of what they're doing is located. Trade development. If you're really serious and you've started to move domestically, then you may start looking at international opportunity. That's when you want to get in touch with the Trade Commissioner Service under Global Affairs Canada. This is an incredibly valuable resource, whether you're looking at defense procurement or any other industry. If you're looking at an export market, the Trade Commissioner Service exists to assist you in those markets. They're incredibly important for a couple of reasons. One, they're subject matter experts in that new market, and usually the Trade Commissioner is a local hire, so a business person in that market who works for the Government of Canada to assist Canadian business. And the point to remember in all this is, as individuals and as businesses, you're paying taxes, your tax dollars are funding this organization, so you should be making maximum use of it because you've paid for it. Industry, business, sectoral development. I said Natural Research Council, Defense Research Development Canada, PSPC, beyond the contracting piece, they have various sectoral development things that they're involved in. So they're also a potential ally. Business assistance. There are 3 federal organizations that are working with Canadian business. They all have a renewed interest in defense. Do they fit everybody? Do they work for, are they the best avenue for everybody? No, but you should have a look at them. The Canadian Commercial Corporation has 2 mandates. It's to help Canadian businesses sell abroad in terms of you're a small business, you're a little bit concerned about doing business with a foreign government. CCC will hold the contract. They'll actually become the contractor. So they'll ensure that you get paid and ensure your dealings with the foreign government. The reverse is also true. A foreign government is interested in doing business with a Canadian company, but are somewhat nervous. Again, CCC will become the actual contract holder and be responsible for ensuring you are paid and also that the goods are delivered to the foreign government. So for a couple of years, they were not paying a lot of attention to defense, but they are reinvigorated in the defense sector. Export Development Canada, an organization that exists to help through various programs Canadian companies export abroad. And again, they have got a renewed focus on defense, as does the Business Development Bank of Canada. Again, they've been instructed to assist the Canadian Defense Industrial Base. But to be clear, they're all great organizations, but they aren't necessarily the best fit for everybody. But you should have a look to see if there's anything that's of relevance to you. provincial, regional, municipal. So all of the provinces and territories have an economic development or skills development or business development ministry. Again, you should know who they are, know the programs that they have. In a lot of cases, Ontario, for an example, is extremely active in taking sectoral trade missions abroad. So they usually have a group of Ontario defense companies at various international events. So again, you should know who these folks are, know the programs that are accessible to you, and they also exist to help you understand how all the disparate pieces of defense procurement fit together and work. Provincial investment attraction may be an avenue as well. Primarily their focus is looking to try to bring business into Canada. Three of the big ones are Invest Ontario, Invest Alberta, Invest Nova Scotia. But again, part of that deal is looking for potential partners for international business. And a number of Canadian firms have been quite successful in forging relationships with international defense contractors. Beyond an ITB relationship, they're actually the rep. Their products are sold abroad by these companies. So getting to know who these folks are and the events that they hold, because they are often looking to introduce foreign companies to Canadian companies through various social networking fora. And of course, probably the one that you're most familiar with, or if you're not, you should be, are your regional municipal economic development or business development organizations. The innovation cluster is a perfect case in point. Whatever you're trying to do, whether it's sectoral specific to defense, but trying to build your business, these are subject matter experts that can help you navigate a lot of I've got my business going, I've got my team, we're working on stuff. So what's next? How do I grow? How do I build? How do I innovate into different things? These are the kind of folks that help you with that. And for the most part, they're not for profits. They're funded by other organizations. So they are, if not a free resource, a fairly inexpensive resource. So again, you should know these folks. Allies on core, third-party assistance. Academia, universities and colleges are always open to assist Canadian business, large and small, through both more blue sky research and applied research. You're on the verge of something, you're having some issues trying to come up with a new process. It could be your local community college has got a team that could assist you in finalizing that. And oftentimes, they're not looking for a piece of the intellectual property. They're just trying to help, one, educate students, and two, help you succeed. So you should be looking into who's local, what faculties they've got, what programs they have in research and development, what partnership programs they have, how they may be able to help you. Innovation, there are a plethora of public and private R&D centers across the country. A practical example in Ontario is Magic in Northern Ontario with some materials joining Innovation Center. So they're out there helping industry work in welding technologies. So if you've got a problem with a new material, these are the folks that you can kind of reach out to and try to get help from. Canadian Armed Forces Reserve. I always think it's important to talk about the reserves. For a lot of Canadians, the local reserve unit is probably their window into the Canadian Armed Forces. The Army reserves are across the country in towns and cities. Naval Reserve, a little bit smaller, and the Air Reserve, a little bit smaller indeed. But the Army Reserve, the thing that's important about the reservists are a lot of reservists are always interested in other employment opportunities. Reserves are not a full-time occupation, but in trying to maximize their participation in it, they can make it hard on other jobs. So why is that important? They are an incredible resource of subject matter knowledge. If you've got a logistics organization, a supply battalion in your town, they know about packaging because the Canadian Forces has their own specifications for everything. So this is the kind of subject matter information that can be really useful to you. So I highly recommend for any SME, find out who your local reserve unit is, reach out to them, get to know them, go and see them, maybe have them come and see you. And the networking, the information you can pick up can be invaluable. Associations. Associations are a double-edged sword because there's all sorts of them, and they all cost money, and you have to decide what kind of investment you can make. So there are national level organizations, the Canadian Association of Defence Security Industries and the Aerospace Industry Association in Canada. If you are truly serious about getting involved in defense procurement in Canada, you should seriously look at joining CADC because they control a couple of events that you would really want to have the opportunity to participate in. And I'll talk more about their events shortly. Regionally, there are a couple of regional organizations. The Atlantic Canada Association of Defense, or I should know that better. Anyway, that's the Atlantic Canada organization. They cover the 4 Atlantic provinces. They host a couple of events. They hosted an event in St. John's, Newfoundland, week before last that had about 700 attendees. Western Canada Defence Industry Association, headquartered at Calgary. WACDEA was around for a long time, fell into decline, but is now back, covering the Western provinces. And again, various programs that they offer, various events that they host. You should look at the associations in your region and get involved. Provincially, Ontario, I'll use Ontario for the example. There are 2 associations in Ontario. The Ontario Aerospace Council, which, as you would suggest, is if you're heavily into aerospace manufacturing, that kind of thing, that's the one. There is a somewhat broader organization which recently stood up, the Ontario Defence Association. And full disclosure, I worked behind the scenes as we were standing it up, and our consultancy was one of the founding members of ODA. ODA holds a trade show, which I'll speak about in a little while, which you may wish to consider. Consultants. There are consultants out there that can help you with everything, whether it's ISO certification, AS9100, the controlled goods program, social media, technical, cybersecurity, but, and there's a really big but. As with anything else, some are really good, some not so much. So if you're looking at consultant support, spend some time, do some research, choose carefully, because oftentimes this could be expensive to you. One thing you might wish to consider when you're trying to figure out who to deal with is, and ISO is a very good example, companies that are ISO certified usually have their badge on their website, which will identify the ISO auditor that they worked with. If you look at 10 or 15 companies that are sort of in your general area of what you're doing, and it looks like 7 or 8 of them use the same, that might be a signpost that that's somebody you might want to work with. But it's a big investment. It can be extremely worthwhile. Just do your research to figure out which consultancy is the one that's the best fit for you. Tools of the trade. So we've talked about the opportunity. We've talked about people that can help you. I'm going to finish up with talking about trade shows and a couple other things. But generally speaking, for a lot of people that are participating in this call, although some of you may be looking at direct business to government sales, a lot of you are going to be considering that the avenue that works best for you is business to business. And that's going to usually be incented or assisted by the Industrial and Technological Benefits Program. So big international primes have to do business in Canada. The companies that they are doing business with are going to be looking for smaller companies like tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 suppliers. So this is how you get in. One of the avenues is trade shows, and we'll get to that. But right now, I'm going to talk about some tools. And for some of you, this is probably, you're really well versed, and I apologize for boring you. But some of this stuff is incredibly important. And if you do it right and you do it early, it can make the rest of that business development effort go fairly smoothly. So website. Uh, Websites increasingly are the first point of contact. You have, unless you've got a really good, sophisticated website with analytics attached to it, you've got no idea who's looking at you. Uh, Prime contractors often will have their teams looking at websites of potential suppliers before they do anything else. And there's reasons for that. The ITV program incents prime contractors to do business in Canada. Lots of Canadian business wants to get involved with prime contractors. However, historically, prime contractors have tried to make their supply chain smaller. So the bottom line is they don't want more suppliers. They just want the suppliers that they need. So what you're effectively going to have to do is you're probably going to have to knock somebody out of their supply chain. And the way you do that is by a compelling business case on price, quality, service. But before you even get there, they've got to know who you are, they've got to know what you do, and the website, your website, could be the first thing that they ever look at. And defense is different. So the website you have today may not be the website you need tomorrow if you're serious about defense. So content is important. Uh, Having spent 10 years working with small and medium enterprise who are busy trying to get contracts, trying to get deliveries out the door, the website may not be top of mind for everybody, but it's really important that you keep your website current, evergreen, in the sense of if you've got news. Nothing worse than looking at a website and you go to the news button and the last thing is 3 years old. That doesn't send the right message. So keep it up to date. Make sure somebody's looking at it. Put your new stuff out there. We've got a new machine. We're doing something different. We've landed a different contract. You not necessarily get into all the details. You may not be able to, but keep that stuff up to date. My simple rules on websites, and that's something to bear in mind, I think, from a prime contractor perspective, is 3 clicks and you're out. If I can't find what I need with respect to defense, with 3 taps of the mouse, I'll probably move on to something else. If I got to go digging in, I've got 50 companies I'm trying to look at. Quality is hugely important. Make sure that you don't have typos. Years ago, it was just simple spelling mistakes. Here's the one this is my pet peeve, and it may be hard to believe. Defense, the word defense in Canada is spelt with a C, not an S. So if you've generated your content and you spell check it, it's not going to pick up the S, because defense is it's a spell. The problem is prime contractors understand that it's spelled differently in Canada. And if you're not spelling it the way we spell it, it sends a subtle message. Are you serious? Are you paying attention to this? Particularly with this huge growth of interest in defense spending in Canada, I've seen a number of websites recently, in some cases from fairly smart companies, where they're making this just simple fundamental mistake of, I'm pushing something out really quickly to get out there into the marketplace. So these are the things to look for. Is the content relevant? Defense companies don't necessarily need to know the family history of how the company was founded. They're looking for information which is relevant to what they're doing. Certifications and contact detail. ISO, AS9100, controlled goods, whatever the certification is that's relevant to defense, and it could be IEEE, it could be Canadian Welding Bureau, whatever it is, they've got to be able to find it in a big hurry. ISO is one of the simple, and controlled goods for that matter, are 2 of the really simple things that they use to determine whether they're going to follow up with a company or not. Good to have those certifications. Really important to make sure that people can find it in a hurry and understand that you do have those certifications. Contact detail. This is always a tricky one. And my consultancy is guilty of it as well to a certain extent. We have a general info link in our website. Fill in your name, tell us what you want to know, and it comes into a certain point and it gets to me and I have a look at it. But we also have our team also has their personal emails available. And you can find them on the website by looking at their bios. Why is this important? Um, you want to do business with them. They don't not necessarily want to do business with you. Everything that you do to make it harder for them to do business with you is not necessarily good. Um, if I'm the industrial participation representative for a prime contractor and I'm looking for Canadian defense companies to work with, having to fill in a form on 50 websites, that's not a good use of my time, and that's probably not what I'm going to do. So problem, of course, is as soon as you put hard contact detail, a name, a phone number, and email address, yes, then potentially you run into spams and phishing emails and all the rest of it. It's a decision you have to make. I would suggest that you want to make it as easy as possible for those companies that are looking for help to be able to find you. Analytics, uh, always a tough one. How complex do you want to make your website? If you're really serious about defense and you're really going to put a good effort into it, you may want to have analytics in there. You know, who's looking at your website? How often are they looking at it? It's not necessary, but it's something to consider. Recycle, repurpose. If you get the content right the first time around, if you're developing content for your website, then it'll become really easy just to recycle that and put it into a deck or a presentation that you're going to use, or into an application form. If every time you're doing things from scratch, you're wasting your valuable time that could be better used on other business development activities. So the website is a really good place to come up with uh, tombstone stuff, paragraphs, that kind of thing, that you can then recycle into an application to IRAP or an application to a funding program. So consider that. Quality, cost, and best value. So uh, there's the formula. Really, really, really good website costs a lot of money, but it could be best value. Um, there are all sorts of people out there, probably your children in some cases, that can give you some ideas about where you're going to find the right fit where those three things come together. So you're not spending a fortune, but you're spending enough to get a good quality website that delivers the outcome that you're looking for. Um, Sadly, as with everything else, these things are not as simple as they used to be. Social media, the road to madness. Facebook. Again, as I said to start the session off, these are my personal opinions. Facebook is not a business development tool. However, you should have a look at Facebook because the algorithms, if you're mentioned often enough, it'll pick you up and they may have a placeholder for your company there. Or your company's being mentioned by other people. So yeah, Facebook has a place. And if one of these placeholders have been set up, then you want to seize control of it, even if you don't use it, just to make sure that somebody else doesn't get hold of it. But you should also be looking to see if people are commenting or saying things about you. X, threads, all the rest of them. For an SME, this is where you start to get into a lot of work for potentially little value. But if you're really keen on doing it, think about what we call X2. You need two strategies. One is day to day. Once a week, I'm going to post something, or I'm going to post on a regular basis things that have happened in our company, or something new that we're doing, or a new hire. The second strategy is if you're going to a trade show, then you've got to run it differently. You're going to have some stuff pre-packaged so that every day of the show you're releasing something. Whoever's representing you at the show has to have the authority to release those things or spontaneously generate something if something's happened. I worked for a company where there was so much control on this that when something big happened, by the time they were able to say it, it was almost irrelevant because there were so many people who had to approve it before it could get posted. Which is why you got to think seriously about whether you're going to do this as a social media tool or not. LinkedIn. For years, I was a huge advocate for LinkedIn. I still am. It started out as a business developing, business networking tool. It's the only social media platform that my consultancy uses. We post a lot of stuff. It does generate business. It's really useful for getting prepared for trade shows, and I'll talk about that. But over the last year, 2 years, LinkedIn is becoming another Facebook, another Instagram. I'd say at least 50% of the content shouldn't be there. So it is not as effective as it once was, and you have to spend a lot more time working it. But generally speaking, if you spend a bit of time figuring it out, it can be an incredibly useful business development tool in the defense sector. And the rest, Instagram, all the rest of them, I don't think they're tools. I wouldn't use them, but everybody's got to do their own thing. And no selfies. Either the picture quality is really poor, or no. If you're going to put a picture up there, this is your reputation. It's what the message you're trying to convey. Try to get good pictures done properly to talk about who you are and what you do. The elevator pitch. You're probably most of you are probably familiar with this, but I like to reiterate: in the aerospace and defense business sector, this is incredibly important. So it is a short soundbite. It's your first introduction of you and your company to anybody you're talking to. You've got to highlight your value proposition. We're the leading of this. Our processes have been noted for that. Whatever it is, you've got to figure it out, and that's got to be the core of the message. You got to practice it. You've got to be, as odd as it sounds, stand in front of a mirror and say it over and over and over again. Say it to your family so that it flows naturally. It doesn't sound stilted and artificial, because you want instant engagement. You want the person you're speaking to kind of go, yeah, I'm interested in this person. It's a key tool for business networking. It's a lasting first impression. Principles, it's not about, you've got to be telling them what they want to hear, not necessarily what you want to say. At any event, the audience could be different. You've got to tailor it to, this is what this group is going to want to hear about my company. And a start point is, if you were in their shoes, what would you want to hear? Identify your core message. Again, we're the most effective at this. We've historically done that. We've won awards for and use it consistently. Engage an audience wherever possible. This literally is an elevator pitch. If it's on the elevator, at the bar, on the trade show floor, on the airplane, in the airport, use it. It's got to be compelling. If you don't really strongly believe in what you do and why it's important and why you're enthusiastic about it, your audience won't see that either. At the end of the day, they're going to hear a lot of these at a trade event or a conference. You want them to remember you, not the other guys.
Hi, Peter.
Yeah.
Just letting you know, we're at 12:59.
Yeah.
And so if you want to go another 10 minutes or so, just wanted to let you know the time.
No, fair enough. So what I'll do is I'll drop through, you get the presentation, so you'll have access to this stuff. Much of the concept is the same thing. It's about how to do it effectively. Defense has to be done differently. You cannot use a standard collateral, a standard presentation for defense. A couple of key things to remember: if you're running a visual, if you got embedded videos, make sure they work. Nothing worse than it's not working for some reason. So if you could see the video, this is what you would see. That's not helpful. Also, if you're going to events, check that whatever event you're going to, that whatever systems they're using will support what you want to talk about. So you're going to take all those tools that we would have talked about, and this is where you're going to introduce them to the world. I'm not going to talk about all trade shows, but I'll highlight some key Canadian ones and a couple of things. Domestic events, DefSec, it's in Halifax, first week in October. Anybody can go. You just have to pay money, and they got a really strong B2B section where you can spend 2 full days in 20-minute meetings with other companies. Best Defense Conference, that's the conference hosted by the Ontario Defense Association in London, Ontario, October 2021. Again, a really solid B2B piece and some good conference sessions. Canadian Aerospace Summit tends to be a little higher level. This is held in Ottawa. It's the AIC event. Conferencing, a bit of a trade show, but this is where, if you're in aerospace, probably something you want to consider. DefSec West, so the gentleman who runs DefSec in Halifax has launched DefSec West. The first one was held in Calgary earlier this year. Next one will be in March of 2027. Again, lots of people, anybody can participate, strong B2B. The CAF Outlook. So CADC, the National Association, runs two flagship events that you have to belong to CADC to participate in. The CAF Outlooks are a 3-day series in April, Army Day and Navy Day, or Navy and Coast Guard Day, and Air Force Day. First part of the day is plenary sessions where you're hearing from them. The afternoon sessions are breakout sessions where specific groups are talking. The fighter shop is talking about what's going on with fighters, or the armored vehicle guys are talking about armored vehicles. Great networking opportunities built around the agenda. And finally, CANSEC, which is the national trade event held in Ottawa, late May, early June. Again, you must belong to CADC to participate. This year, there were close to 20,000 people participating with a huge trade flow. If you're really, really serious, then you really, really have to consider belonging and going to these events. This is a representative list. There's all sorts of other events held across Canada. Decisions and more decisions. Show selection. Which show? You can't go to them all. So you're going to have a look at them and figure out which one probably fits you best. And that doesn't even start to talk about international. And that's highlighted in red because for every domestic event, there are 10 international events. And now you're talking big bucks. Solely travel and living to go to a big show in a foreign, in London or Paris is a lot of money. Why are you attending? Are you looking for a partner? Is it to make sales? Are you looking for funding? Is it BD? Why are you going to go? Which leads to the next question, who will you send? If I'm looking for financing, it may be the company owner. If I'm looking for sales, then it's probably the marketing or BD team. So you've got to figure out why you're going and who you should send. Next question is, how are you going to participate? Are you simply going to attend and walk and visit people? Do you want to be an exhibitor? If you're going to be an exhibitor, then you're looking probably at having 3 people there. Somebody's going to be on the booth all the time. Somebody should be walking around taking meetings or looking at other people. And there's always the bathroom, lunch, whatever. So that's now a big investment. Are you going by yourself? Or are you going to go with a group, an Invest Ontario group, or another group that's being organized by a third party? Good idea, but there's usually costs associated with it. Sponsorship. Do you want to become some kind of a sponsor? The pen sponsor, getting a pen in every bag handed out at DefSec West costs $4,000. So there are cheaper sponsorships, there are more expensive sponsorships, but it's something to consider. So next 2 slides, I really want to get into kind of what, if I can leave you with some core messages, this is it. The decision formula. If you're looking at defense, this is what drives it. How much time, how much money, and how much human resources can you devote to pursuing defense business? Because at a minimum, you're probably looking at a 2-year investment. And that's, I'm making a really solid commitment for the next 2 years to spend some money. I will find somebody on my team who can look at this all the time, not from a corner of their desk, but all the time. I'm prepared to join some associations, get some certifications, attend some events, and all of this stuff takes time. As I said, and I've said this for years, there is not a 25th hour in the day, and there's not an 8th day in the week. This is going to be against taking time away from something else. So that's the formula that you have to decide. In-house champion. Do you have a candidate? Do you have somebody who's interested, engaged, and is willing to make the effort to learn about this space? Because you could talk to somebody, a military person, and you could get buried in acronyms and not, at the end of 10 minutes, not understand what the hell they're talking about. So you've got to have somebody that's going to get engaged and start understanding how all this stuff works. Defense business. Do you have any experience? Doesn't necessarily have to be, are you working with companies who are active in the defense space? Something that you have to look into. Social media. Do you know what's out there? In that sense is, do you know how you're portrayed or where you appear on social media? That is something you've got to look into. Stakeholder engagement, all levels, all the time, whether it's a government department, an elected official, another company, a third-party facilitator. You got to be switched on all the time, pursuing it all the time, because you never know when the opportunity might present itself. Provincial municipal opportunities, most of what I talked about was federal and defense. MERX is another government electronic tendering system. It covers, for the most part, provincial government opportunities, municipal government opportunities, hospitals, schools, universities. There could be some valuable opportunity for you there. And make an informed decision. Defense is not easy. It's really hard. All of these things factor into it. You really need to take some time. Think about it. Think about the money and time you'd have to spend on it. And if you're in, you're in. You can't dabble. Not quite the conclusion. To succeed, consider the following. You've got to manage your expectations. This can take an incredibly long time, number one. Number two, something could look rock solid up until the last minute when the government organization decides it's going to do something different. So they shut down this procurement that you've spent weeks, months, years working with a prime contractor on. The prime can pivot easily. They're pursuing all things all the time. So if one opportunity shuts down, they move to another, but it may not be necessarily something that they can take you to. So you've got to manage your expectations. It's not going to happen in 6 months or a year. Make an informed decision and a firm commitment, as we've just talked about. You're in and you're putting money and time to it. Get help. Aerospace and defense procurement is a surge. It's filling in around the other things that you do. So find people that can help you. Fully exploit every tool and opportunity. Resources, particularly time, is the critical point of failure. Prepare for disaster. Perfect case in point. I'm going to a trade show. I've got everything loaded up on my laptop and my laptop dies. What are you going to do? Do you have something online? Can you rent something? Can you buy another computer? Whatever it is, have everything backed up on a stick so that you can deal with it. Never stop networking. Defense is all about interpersonal relationships. You got to be doing it all the time. Cybersecurity, I promise most of the other things here. If you're going to pursue any Canadian aerospace defense opportunity, whether it's straight to government or whether it's business to business, you better get up to speed on cybersecurity in a big hurry. It is what is driving everything now, no matter what you do. Cybersecurity Canada is a resource that's available to you. It's run by the Canadian Communications Security Establishment. It's a tool for Canadian business. You can sign up for newsletters. They've got tools. They'll send out warning notices about there's a problem with Windows, there's a problem with Outlook, whatever it is. This is free. Get on it. The Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, that's the organization that runs Cybersecurity Canada. It's out there helping business with tools and programs. So, cybersecurity maturity model certification. A year and a half ago, or over the last couple of years, the defense business is driven primarily by what the Americans are doing. So the US rolled out this CMMC certification with 2 phases. CMMC 1, which was effectively do some things and self-audit. CMMC 2 was you need to do a whole bunch of things. It's quite expensive and bring in a third-party auditor to give you the accreditation. And they were going to impose this on their entire supply chain. So they'd impose it on the primes would then have to impose it on their supply chain. It was moving forward, and the target was, I think November, was full introduction of the CMMC Level 2. About a month ago, they threw a curveball and decided they're suspending the CMMC Level 2 certification for the time being because it's getting in the way of rapid procurement in the US. Nevertheless, CMMC is out there. Certainly Level 1 is something that you need to look at, particularly because Canada has a similar program, CPCSC, Canadian Program for Cybersecurity Certification. Again, it was going to have 2 levels. It looks a lot like CMMC, but it's Canadian. My consultancy is driving right now to get CPCSC Level 1 certification because we know that our clients are going to be asking for it. This is the absolute showstopper. This is not, I've got McAfee or Bitdefender or whatever on my company's computers. This is a foreign element trying to get through you to get somewhere else. They don't care about your HR or your budget. Do you have an electronic link to a bigger fish? And that's where they're trying to get it. Uh, we've just recently had some very upsetting and annoying, time consuming repair jobs on some incredibly sophisticated phishing scam emails that are coming in, and we're getting probably hundreds a day. So you can't mess with this. This will freeze you out of anything. There's my contact information. There are 3 slides behind us. Obviously, I won't go to them right now, but they talk about the defense procurement process more from the perspective of I'm a company looking to sell directly to D&D. It talks about some of the different tools, how it works, the ways they procure things. Um, there's some links in there that'll give you more information. And again, I keep coming back to if you're new to this and you're seriously looking at it, Procurement Assistance Canada is the organization that exists to facilitate the entry of small and medium enterprise into federal procurement, to ensure that you understand how it works, the things that you need to do to maximize your opportunities. And as I was informed, I'll stop talking now.
Thank you so much, Peter. That was absolutely excellent. There was really great feedback in the comments, which we really appreciate. If you have a moment, folks, thank you so much for sticking with us over time. We really appreciate it. We're just going to pop up a really quick poll. If you could take a moment to answer it really quickly, it really helps us to improve our future workshops and events. For those of you who had questions, feel free to send those questions to us. I will be sending out an email later today or tomorrow with these slides and the recording. And so you will receive everything and you'll have a chance to go through the slide deck as well. And you can go through the slides that we weren't able to touch on today. But feel free to send us your questions and we could pass those along to Peter. Peter has also provided his contact information in the chat. And in that email, we'll also be sharing some upcoming events and resources that the Innovation Cluster has. We actually, a plug-in, we're doing a cybersecurity workshop in October. And so for those, that's a great opportunity for you to touch on your cybersecurity. So we'll share that as well. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for attending today. Please send us your questions. We'll also go through the chat as well later on. But thanks again, everybody, and I hope you have a good rest of your day and take care. And again, Peter, thank you so much.
My pleasure. And if I can, just to really quickly, again, really appreciate Innovation Cluster asking me to do this. Honored to be asked and honored to be hosted by them. I appreciate that that was an awful lot of stuff. Um, as you may have noticed, I'm fairly passionate about it, having spent most of my adult life doing it. Um, it can be incredibly rewarding. Really give it a good look. Like if you're thinking about this, really give it a good look. There's all sorts of really cool companies out there with really cool stuff that the government should know about. So I wish you great success as you pursue it. For those who may have been bored with stuff they already know, I apologize. There were a couple of comments I came up from people I know, which I really appreciated. But no, have a great rest of your day, and I hope you find success here.
Thank you so much, Peter. We really appreciate it. Such great content today. And thanks, everybody. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.